Now, I had a discussion about systems and institutional racism in my 1301 class. And this is something that you have to be cognizant of as a future teacher. Are there systems in place that are blocking certain populations from getting a fair, equal, effective education? All types. That obviously includes all of our special needs students, all immigrant students, all Black and Latinx students, Asian, white, every single student out there. Is there a population that's getting more than the other? Okay, so we have to question these things. Why? Because we're educators, and educators need to educate all students, especially if you're going to be a public school teacher. Now, does that mean in a private school you don't have to? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you're going to be a teacher, you have to teach all the students that you're teaching, not just the few. Same situation, not just a certain few. Same situation with the school as a whole. We're not just educating students in our school for a certain population. We're educating all, okay, and including all, that every single person is getting the services they need in order to excel and accomplish the goals that they want. Okay? All right. The other thing that I do want to talk about is this idea of deficit thinking. This is in your chapter, page 433. Deficit thinking is very impactful for all students of color. Okay? Okay, so this idea of deficit thinking means that people that you encounter have this deficit, or cultures have a deficit. This idea of saying that they're lacking compared to whom, right? Question you really need to ask yourself. What are they missing? All right. And what are they compared to because they're missing this characteristic or whatnot? Let me give you an example. Let's say, okay, I'm an immigrant. I'll use myself an example. I'm an immigrant. I came from the Philippines, and one of the things that my culture believes in is honorifics. What do I mean by that? You cannot give eye contact to a person who may be scolding you, because if you give eye contact, then that's considered rude. Well, what is the proper thing to do in the American culture? You have to give the person who's reprimanding you eye contact, right? The opposite situation. So I learned that in my culture, you don't look at grandma when she's, grandma or mom when she is reprimanding you, or else you get slapped in the face. And so anyways, let's say the person is thinking that something's wrong with my culture. I should be looking at the person who's reprimanding me, not adhering to my own cultural difference. That is a deficit way of thinking. That means something is wrong with my culture, so I need to assimilate to the American way in order to show that I'm being respectful. Now, you can look at it both ways. I could code switch, in other words. I can not look at my parents when I'm being reprimanded, and I can also look at the teacher in the eye. But that is a learned response, guys. That is not something that is automatic. That is a learned response. So, deficit way of thinking is actually negative, okay? You want to have an asset-based thinking with students. What about their culture can you embrace that really helps enrich understanding Americans better? Okay? That's the way in which we need to kind of rethink people who are different from us. What do they have that's an asset, rather than what do they not have that's actually hurting them in American society? We have to kind of do away with that mindset, because it doesn't actually help. It becomes a crowd thinking idea rather than an embracing idea of our differences. So keep that in mind. All right, multiple means of measurement. Okay, students, so I want you to watch this video on the very thing that I'm talking about with equity and GT and giving students services that they need, and the idea of asset-based thinking rather than deficit-based thinking. This is a great video. Let me go ahead and move it over to our slides, or in front of our slides, really. Okay.
So our students are excited and they're engaged. They are really enjoying the challenges that our programs are providing. Every parent wants their child to be provided opportunities to reach their potential. And it's important that we advocate for all students. When we began this work, we had limited numbers in particular populations. And so it's exciting when students are seeing peers from similar culturally, linguistically, economically diverse backgrounds sitting in those classes with them. They're noticing that they're not the only one.
I have worked for many years in Seminole County, specifically at turnaround schools and schools that have a higher at-risk population. And I had the privilege of making sure that all students had opportunities. And looking at the data, it was evident that your zip code determined whether you had the opportunity to participate, be screened, or be part of the gifted program. Frequently what happens, students who are wealthier have parents who advocate for them, which is outstanding, and we have great programs and opportunities for those children. But students that don't have parents that are advocating for them, we need to make sure that we provide the opportunity for all.
As a school psychologist, I have evaluated nearly 1,000 children in all schools, from Title I to schools who are serving middle and upper class children. And during that time, I noticed there was a significant discrepancy for the number of referrals that I was receiving for gifted evaluations. And I also noticed that there was limited diversity in those referrals as well. So part of our training in working with teachers is trying to address stereotypes and misconceptions of giftedness.
Whoa. Oh my God!
That's fast. Time 16 seconds.
One of the ways that we are working with teachers is providing virtual classrooms where our teachers are able to interact live with student avatars.
See, you are funny. You do have a great sense of humor.
It's okay. It is. I don't feel like very funny.
With this technology, teachers are able to interact live, to address and recognize characteristics and traits, and also they're able to practice instructional strategies without harming any real children.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of the work that Jeanette has done and her team. The most important part of all of this work is making sure that there are opportunities for all students. At the end of the day, it's all about children, it's all about students, and it's all about opportunities.
And what did you learn when you were building?
When it starts at the top, it'll get more speed to go down and go.
All right, boys and girls, thank you so much.
Okay, so